Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the SFA Season 18 Team of the Year Selection Show. We are following the Natty. Washington got it done against North Carolina. So now we get to immortalize a full team, our kind of all-pro version of this. If you are in chat, you can help me pick the players, and then we can, get out of here pretty quickly. Just a quick rundown. We pick 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 4 receivers, 2 tight ends, a full offensive line, 4 D linemen, 3 linebackers, 3 corners, 2 safeties, and a kicker punter. So, gonna be a ton of fun here. Alright, so we'll start with quarterback. The big question is Brandon Outlaw with his 10 interceptions in the CFP. He won the Natty. But in terms of touchdowns, he has 9 more than anybody else. I feel like you just, unless he leads in interceptions, which he doesn't, I think you have to put Brandon Outlaw. Most touchdowns, most yardage by 400 yards. I think you have to put him 69% completion. He won the Natty, even though with 10 picks, he wasn't the best player. He's not going to get cover athlete. No way I'm going to put him as cover athlete. Sorry. Team of the Year is about SFA players, not CPU. I always forget Brandon Outlaw. He is not an SFA player. My bad. So he is off the table. So the question becomes, is Rubeshaw your Team of the Year guy? Yeah, Brandon Outlaw is not a Team of the Year, or he's not an SFA player. So is Rubeshaw the number 1 quarterback? 5,200 yards, 35 touchdowns. That's not very good. It's like 10th. He has 5,200 yards, 4 more interceptions than Gamara. Or do you go Lavello Blackley? Do we really go? You want to look at Kirko Squatch? He went 42-7, 4,400 yards. Now remember, rushing is a component of this, so what did Rubeshaw do on the ground? 300 yards, 6 touchdowns. Gamara, he did 600 yards, 9 touchdowns. That's pretty good. Blackley. McNutt. Zeke Yager. And Kirko Squatch, 42 touchdowns, 700 yards, 12 touchdowns. Okay, so he has 54 total touchdowns, about 5,100 yards. Gamara beats him on yards, and a few more touchdowns, a couple more interceptions. Better team success for Kirko. We've got some mixed opinions here. Some want Gamara, some want Squatch. Kirko, Gamara. Here, let me put out a quick... Can I do a poll? Create a new poll. QB1. Here, I'm going to do a poll for this one. I think those are probably the 2 best. Alright, get your poll in there. Who is QB1? QB1. They're both Team of the Year worthy. He definitely shouldn't be QB1. We're definitely not doing Scotty Bean. But while we're waiting here, I will scroll down. Of course, it's deadlocked. Who's gonna break the tie? And here's your Natty winner. Do we talk about the Heisman winner? He had 34-5. His rushing has to be insane. It wasn't even insane. I don't know how Bunkersfield got it done. Diarco Claxton, 34-6. Danny Omaha. Alright, so Gamara wins the poll. So I guess we'll go with Gamara. Garrett Gamara and then Kirko Squatch. Oh, now you're claiming him on your team, Pizza. All right. Now we go to rushing. Blaze Hollister had the most yards. Boozin, of course, has the most touchdowns. Fumbles. 7 fumbles for Blaze. I mean, or do you go to Quentin Sims? So you have 3 options really here. You got Hollister, Boozin, and Sims. 21, 18, 17. All within, what, 50 yards of each other. So rushing doesn't really matter. 20 plus yards, Blaze. Most fumbles for Blaze. I think he might be the odd man out here. Unless there's receiving. 326 yards, 2 touchdowns for Blaze. 389, 5 touchdowns, some more touchdowns for Boozin. And 200. Okay, so I think Boozin takes RB1. I think that's pretty easy to call. RB2 is between DeQuinton Sims and Hollister. So do you value a little bit more, like slightly more receiving for Hollister's? And I think they're tied on touchdowns, but he has 7 fumbles. That's the problem. Yeah, I think Sims. All right, so DeQuinton Sims. So the freshman team of the year player. All right, now we go 4 wide receivers. Now there's not really, we're not doing, no, Boozin just has so many more touchdowns. All right, so here are your, oh my God, Jesse Jetster, boo. What a chump, what a merchant. 1 game merchant and he's gonna get up here. That is sickening. All right. So in terms of receiving, it's of course going to be between probably Jetster and Wally Culpepper here. So Jetster has the most yards. Jurassico Rose has 1891, almost beat him. 20 touchdowns versus 19. Wally Culpepper has 1700 yards. So the question, I think those 3 are like pretty easy. Like just go 1, 2, and 3, right? I think you go Jetster, Rose, and then Culpepper. And then the question becomes 4th. Do you go like a Ray J. Butler? Or LaShonte Bryant? See if anybody else down here has like an insane amount of touchdowns. 20, 20, 19, 19. Okay, Ray J tied 4th. Alright, so let's just look at these 2. Anybody else here? SFA guys. Jelani McCray would be the closest. He's not even close. Okay, so it comes down to this. 15 versus 14. 4 more touchdowns for Ray J. And yeah, 11 drops. So, okay. I think this is pretty easy. So we're going to go Jetster 1. Then we're going to go Rose 2. Culpepper 3. And Butler 4. Pretty dang easy. Now in terms of tight ends, there's not really a good way to do it. We kind of just got to go down by yardage. So let's just see if we can find any SFA tight ends towards the top. Kevin Mills. Oh, it's going to be Hunter Marshall, number 1 for sure. I mean, he won the Mackey for a reason. 1,100 yards, 12 touchdowns. I'm going to pretty much pencil him in there. We'll see if we can find anybody else. Lil LeChante. Hunter Marshall. We need to find a second tight end. Grant Gosling. Okay. 1,000-yard season, 7 touchdowns. That's nothing to scoff at. Is there anybody else? Ben Williams, non-SFA player. Christian Fields. Adrian Jones. Where's the next tight end? George Gritty V, 907. Yeah, I think you go Grant Goslin. Where is he? There he is. All right. So your offensive skill positions are set. We got Garrett Gamara, Kirk O'Squatch, Bourbon Boozin, DeQuinton Sims, Jesse Jetster, Jurassico Rose, Wally Culpepper, Ray J. Butler, Hunter Marshall, and Grant Goslin. So offensive line is always one of the most fun ones for me to figure out. So you got to sort by pancakes, and then we kind of scroll down and just kind of pick and choose. So York and Kirchhoff, the most pancakes of the year, but 5 sacks. That's a lot. I don't know if that's enough. And we always go through this question, how many pancakes equals a sack? I don't know the answer. But these are the only 2 stats we kind of have. But like, for instance, Colin Schuler is an SFA player. I feel like Schuler is a better player. 65-1. Like, 1 sack is pretty crazy. I think Bruno Sardine also has 5 sacks, so you definitely take Kirchhoff over him. So before we pencil anybody in, I just want to make sure there's nobody, like, at the top. Oh, nice. 56-3 for Gunter Tall. Curtis Schlupp, 54-6. Jeffrey Cobb, see, another Georgia Tech guy, 53-1. Russ Cosgrove just won a natty, so I think he goes above Cobb here. Polo Chodacki. These Iowa State guys giving up a shitload of sacks. Anybody else not giving up any? Tiggy Ochoa, SFA guy. Alright, now we're below 50 pancakes. I feel like that's a nice cutoff. And I don't see anybody else with, like, no sacks given up. Okay. So I think the best player we saw here, Colin Schuler, so we'll put him at the right guards, or the right tackle spot. Remember, their position is always the first of choice. Alright, so we need 4 more offensive linemen. We know Kirkin Kirchhoff, but 5 sacks is a lot. I don't know if that's enough. So I think next up is you probably go with these 2 gentlemen. You go with Jeffrey Cobb and you go with Russ Cosgrove. Russ Cosgrove gets priority because he won the natty. And Jeffrey Cobb's right guard anyways. So a full Georgia Tech right side of the line. Okay, so 2 spots left. So we have Curtis Schlupp here, 54-6. You do have Gunter Tall. I think Gunter Tall might be next. I don't know where Zhang is at. Because, like, when you sort by that, it's not offensive lineman. Yeah, I mean, this is just way too low to consider anybody like that. Yeah, he's nowhere to be found, so I would give... I mean, just looking at things, Kirchhoff, you give left tackle, I think, and then you take Gunter Tall. Unless you want to go Bruno Sardine, but that's way less. Remember, only SFA players here, so I think you have to go Gunter Tall. And then I think you go... Yeah, not sardines. So then I think you go Yorkin. Just most pancakes. You can't... How does this guy win an award with 9 pancakes and 1 sack? That's not making it. Yeah, the award kind of logic went kind of crazy this year. Bunkersfield probably shouldn't have won the Heisman. So we'll go Yorkin. Alright, so the offensive side of the ball is set. So now for defense, it's a lot of kind of going around and just kind of looking into finding guys. Of course, Ziggy Tozama, the most tackles of the year. Congratulations. You won the Bednarik. We'll see if he makes Team of the Year. So sack leaders, we do defensive line first. So it's always kind of a little bit of a, you know, sack versus TFLs type of a deal. But we also need to keep in mind that interception leader. Let's go find him first. He has 2 on the year. See if we can find Hurst. I'm going to give you your benefit of the doubt. Warrenberg only had 2 picks. Where's Jared Hurst? Hurst. I don't see him. Oh my god. Did he have more than 2? Where is he, bro? Now I gotta go manually find stupid Hurst. Jared Hurst had 21 TFLs, 3 interceptions. That's why we couldn't find him. So keep this in mind when we're looking at the stats. 21, 7.5, and 3 when we're looking at defensive line stats. Because we've never had a D lineman have so many picks. But I think you have to go Damian Chambers number 1, though. He had an exquisite CFP. He is an SFA player. Led the country in sacks, 36 TFLs. Is 36 the lead? It is. So he leads in sacks and he leads in TFLs. He has to be 1. Ten sacks and 1 pick. In terms of other SFA player, we got Bronson Rowe. He had 30 TFLs and 10.5 sacks. We could look at forced fumbles. Damian Chambers has 3. Nobody else really has much, but I think you go Bronson Rowe 2. So Bronson Rowe. So now, next up, I mean, Reaper XM, 27 and 10 is a pretty good line. Yeah, Chambers had a good year. Hubert Wells, SFA guy, more TFLs, half a sack less. Is that enough to beat this? Or no, that's a full sack less. I think sacks are better than TFLs, so I'd put XM above them. But where do you put Jared Hurst? 21 TFLs, 7.5 sacks, 3 interceptions. Yeah, but only 14 more tackles. I mean... We only have 2 spots left for D-line. So it's kind of between 3 people. Reaper Exum, Hubert Wells, and Jared Hurst. How many is 3 interceptions worse? You think last D-line 4? So then who do you go between Exum and Wells? 65 tackles, 79, 28 TFLs, 9.5. Team success, North Carolina beats him. Deflections, 4 versus 2. 1 forced fumble, 1 recovery, and no touchdown. So Exum at least had the fumble. I think you go Exum because of the fumble. Exum and then Hurst is what I think we're going to go with. So now we got to do kind of the same thing for linebackers. And linebackers, the easiest way to find them is their tackles. So Ziggy Tozama, he had 18 TFLs, 4 sacks, 4 picks. Kind of the do-it-all guy. 2 forced fumbles, 1 interception, or 1 fumble recovery, and no touchdowns. Solinger, SFA guy, he had a half sack less tackles, less interceptions, less of everything, but still pretty good. I mean, Solinger, but SMU was not a good team. Kale Sonnen. Baron Veenkamp, hello. He had more TFLs than both, less sacks, the interception, deflections about the same. A lot of very similar fellows here. Any other entrants? Donnie Dishes, the SFA player, 16. Okay. More sacks, less interceptions. He had the 2 forced fumbles, though. Shaq Madison, 12 TFLs. He's not Team of the Year this year, I don't think. He didn't do enough. Wendell Vanderbrake, 96. He had 2 and 9. Nope, doesn't look... That's not good enough. We got Veenkamp lovers. He only had 58 solos. And see if there's anybody else. Bruce Beers, he only had 1 sack, 4 TFLs. That's not good enough. John Henry Mustard, 11 and 2. Brutus Meat Cake, 10 and 1. Nope. Hazelhurst, 11 and 1. All right, yeah. So we're starting to kind of fall off here a little bit. Now, before I make decisions, let's just go through the top TFL guys, see if there's any SFA linebacker that's just insanely high on here. Luca Van Fleet, Lorenzo, any linebackers? No. Okay, any insanely high sack totals? 10 for Kevin McGuire, non-SFA guy. Nope. Interceptions. Any crazy high interceptions? So they're kind of making our job easy this year. Or any crazy amount of forced fumbles. About recoveries. No SFA linebackers. Any crazy amount of blocks. Kalen Winans cooking with the blocks. Defensive touchdowns. Richard Longswallow, he has 1, but... yeah, we're flying through this year. Thank goodness. Okay, so I think for linebackers, I think you go Tozama number 1. I think the game got that right. And then I think it's just kind of what flavor of the day do you want. Solinger is basically him, so I think those are the 2 best. People want Veenkamp 2 over Solinger. What's the What did BearCave do that's better? Less tackles, less solos, 3 more TFLs, but he had 1 less sack, less interceptions, a little bit more pass deflections, same amount of fumbles, more recovery for Solinger. Yeah, I think Barron goes 3. And the only other guy was Donnie Dishes, who has less than both and everything. Okay, so let's just go BearCave 3. Alright, so we're on to corners now. So in terms of SFA corners, Quayshawn Doolittle had 14. He had 3 interceptions. Portland Holvik had 4 interceptions and 13. Jamori Finkley had 13 deflections, only 1 pick though. Let's see. Let's go through interceptions here. See if anybody had like a big amount. So Jevro Barker, the Texas State corner, he gets 6. I think that's probably good enough. He had 6 deflections, so he caught a lot of them. Did he take any of them back? He didn't. So is that good for number 1? I don't know, but we'll keep him in mind. Johnny Thomas, not an SFA player. Waylon Lagway, SFA player, had 4. 6 deflections. He had 3 forced fumbles. Hold on, that's kind of cooking. And he had a defensive touchdown. So Waylon Lagway, kind of cooking. Dorian Lennox Lee as well. North Texas, cooking. Okay, so he's below Lagway because no fumbles. Shante Bahama is a safety. Will Sweeten had 4 picks, 10 deflections, less fumbles. Giorgio D'Antonio, he had 4, 6, no fumbles. Rowan Willows had 4 and 7. Okay, now we're into the 3s. So I think it's pretty obvious who the 3 are. I just don't know what order. So I think you go Lagway. I think you go Wagley and Barker for sure. And then I think you go with the 14 deflections for Quayshawn because he still had 3 interceptions. So that's a ton of deflections. He also had a forced fumble and a defensive touchdown. So I think we have our 3. It's just what order do you go? Do you go Lagway first? Do you go Barker first with the 6 versus the 4? I think you go Lagway, Barker, and Doolittle. Yeah, Barker with 6. Lagway, Barker, Doolittle. Okay, so I think everyone's fine with Doolittle 3rd. So who do you put first? Lagway or Lagway or Barker? Sure, but that's other players, right? 6 interceptions trumps. 6 interceptions, that's what you care about as a corner. We don't have like a touchdowns given up or anything, so that's all you can kind of do. The forced fumbles is great. That's why he's on the list. Team success, though, Texas State is better. So, let's go Lagway 2. Alright, Barker, Lagway, and Doolittle. So now we got 2 safeties. We got to figure out who those safeties are. The safeties is always weird because you got Cale Sonnen, over 100 tackles, 2 sacks, he had 2 picks. It's just, it's kind of the same as linebackers. You just kind of gotta go by what's working here. Where are all my safeties? Mike Bernard. So, way less tackles here for a lot of these guys. So, Cale Sonnen kind of cooking. Reese Irwin, he had 20 TFLs and 3 sacks, less interceptions. So, yeah, he's not Team of the Year. Clay had a good year, though. There's Torrin McCain there for you, Bob Toledo. Warrenberg, no. River Elliott, trash can. Haynes Kruger is a safety. So I think Cale Sonnen is a pretty obvious safety here. I mean, safety has kind of always been more of a vibes pick anyways. Where are all the safeties? Do safeties just not tackle? What makes Warrenberg good is he's average at both positions. Okay, so here we go. We got Kalen Winans, TFLs, sacks, 2 interceptions. He does have 2 blocks, though. He has a lot of different things and a defensive touchdown. I think the only person we should compare him to is see if Shante Bahama had a better year. So let's go look at Shante Bahama. At the very top here. So Shante, he had 5 TFLs, 1 sack less. He had more interceptions. Didn't have any of the fumbles, no blocks or anything, but 2 defensive touchdowns. So is that better than this? 72, 9, 1.5, 2 interceptions. No, Winans wins. So it's going to be Cale Sonnen and Caleb Winans are your safeties. Alright, so now we go to kicking. Alright, so SFA kickers only. I mean, we kind of just got to go by... I don't know, do you go by percentage? Do you go by makes? Robbie Edmondson, 16 of 19. 84%, 51-yard long. Avery Talon, 24 of 31, so 77%, 45 yards. Mitch Mulligan, 13 of 17. Boris Hanshu, 10 of 13, 51 yards. O'Shea, 73%. He had a 55-yarder, 14 of 19. Yeah, it's going to be Edmondson again. Edmondson is an elite kicker. Robbie Edmondson. All right, and then punter. It's like a weird mix between punter and pinned inside. I don't know. Says the best average. Do you even have any current SFA punters? Oh, Youngerman, 43.7. He pinned 10 inside the 20. Is it just going to be Youngerman? Is there anybody else? Where are other punters? Vogel Climax 42. He pinned 11 inside. I don't know. Is one more yard average better? 43.5 or 11 inside? Anyone have like an insane amount? Oh, there it is. The SFA punter. He only averaged 40, but he has 30 inside the 20. There you go. Francis Miani. He is going to be your punter. Miani is an SFA player. All right. Is that going to end the stream? Let's just go back through. We got Gamara, Kirko, Squatch, Boozin, Sims, Jetster, Rose, Culpepper, Butler, Marshall, Goslin, and then offensive line, Kirchhoff, Cosgrove, Tall, Cobb, and Schuler. Defensive line, Damian Chambers, Bronson Rowe, Reaper Exum, Hurst, Tozama, Solinger, Veenkamp, Barker, Lagway, Doolittle, Sunnins, Winans, Edmondson, and Miani. We don't have a returning guy. We're not going to add him, but this is just a look at the punt returners. Hogan had a kickoff return. No idea how. He's super slow. And those are it. So just to finish, I guess we'll look at some team stats for you guys, and then we'll look at the records just so you guys can kind of see. So the best offense this year was Washington and North Carolina with total yards. Obviously passing. Rushing was Southern Miss and Nevada. Points per game, Iowa State, 41.7. Passing touchdowns, 57. Rushing touchdowns, 40. Sacks allowed, Colorado, of course, with the triple option. The most was Houston and, believe it or not, North Carolina. Wonder why. Most first downs was North Carolina. The least was Hawaii. All right, defensively, total offensive yards allowed, California somehow. Least was Army. Least pass yards given up was Troy. Most was, oh my god, Iowa State, 4,000? Yeesh. They gave up the least amount of rushing yards, though. And then Kentucky gave up the most rushing. Points allowed, the least was Texas State at 233. Northwestern, 483. So Northwestern has been a popular choice for coaches in the portal, or in the carousel. So if you go there, you got a lot of issues to take care of. The most sacks was Washington. The least sacks was Bowling Green. So I guess you could have predicted the Natty just based off that. I mean, the best pass rushing team in the nation versus the worst offensive line. Well, yeah, of course, there's not per game. The most fumble recoveries was Florida State. The least, these three teams had 0. Most interceptions, Texas State with 23. The least was Kansas. Conversions, most conversions, Utah with the least. Most was Ohio State. The most attempts was Iowa. I don't know if that's good or bad. The least was Purdue. Third down percentage, East Carolina and Auburn. Worst was Hawaii. Fourth down conversions was North Texas and Iowa. So you were the most aggressive there, Jarkus. Most fourth down attempts was Rutgers, though. Best percentage, Auburn went 100% on the year. 9% here for App State, 1 of 11. Yuck. Most 2-point attempts was Bryce Beers. The most attempts was Arizona. All right, red zone. Most attempts, of course, were the teams in the playoff. Most touchdowns, Washington and Iowa State. Most field goals was Jarkus. Offensive red zone percentage, 90% here for Florida Atlantic. Nicely done. The worst, San Diego State. Defensively, the least amount in the red zone, good or bad, Charlotte. Most was Michigan State and Marshall. The least amount of defensive touchdowns, Texas State. The most was Marshall. Defensive red zone field goals, 3 versus 17. Percentage, the lowest was UNLV. I don't know if that's the best, probably. 96% for West Virginia. Yuck. All right, most penalties in the nation, FIU. The least was Stanford and UTSA. The most yards versus the least. And finally, turnovers. The highest differential and the lowest. Most giveaways. Baylor had the least. Or you'd say the most. Most interceptions thrown. Oklahoma only had 2. Purdue had 24. 0 for Toledo and 13 for Oregon State. Most takeaways was UTSA. Least was Kansas. Most interceptions, Texas State. Least, Kansas. Most recoveries was Florida State, and 3 teams had 0. So those are the team stats, and then we'll go through the NCAA records from this year because records have all updated now. So new this season, looks like longest interception return, or longest kickoff return is still Jarrett Gamara, and now Jetster here. Desmond Bain still holds it for Washington with the tie, and Brian Brissy, that was broken in Season 7. Team game, Texas Tech, the first one to break one of these records, the most passing yards in a game. Congratulations. Individual season, Chet Doge, Arkansas State. Reception still Yates. Nothing else has been broken yet here, though, so almost got there with the passing yards, not quite. Individual career, Chet Doge and Jay Ducker. So still the career's not quite there, and then nobody's going to do anything with those. So that's going to do it for the Team of the Year stream. Thank you guys for joining in. I'm not quite sure the timeline for stuff yet. Coaching Carousel will come soon. I have to get with Rick and figure out the coaching approvals and stuff, see if anyone has to take a punishment. But VODs for the Natty and the highlights will be up later today. This VOD will be available later on today. And I will not be at my computer from Wednesday to Monday. So I'm still going to do like wheel spins and stuff, and there'll be Croakers episodes, but I'm not going to be available to do like the transfer portal. So we are going to take like a little brief break. But good season, boys. We'll see you later on. Peace, peace.